Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Sustainable Stace. I'm here in the garden with my good friend Chives. Let's talk about him.
I'm Stacy Taves. For me, healthy food and sustainability are totally connected. You can grow it yourself. Nature is generous.
I don't know if you're like me, but I love the flavor of onions and garlic in my food, and so Chives, in some form or another, makes it into my kitchen every single day. It ends up in breakfast, in lunch, or in dinner. It ends up in salad dishes, in potato dishes, in egg dishes. It gets flavored into salad dressings. It gets mixed in with other herbs. Chives is amazing. It's a perennial herb. It's easy to grow. It's hardy and survives through winter. And we're just going to talk about and show some love to chives today. Now, if you ended up in the garden like I'm here today, you could just take ad hoc and just grab with a scissor and cut a big bunch of chives all different lengths. That's not usually the way I go about it, though that works. And as long as you don't harvest all of it at once, it'll just keep on growing and regrowing. What I do is I go in and I select on purpose the largest, tallest stalks that are in the garden, and then I let the shorter ones grow longer later. And so by doing that, I'm getting the maximum green onion or chives action out of that. Now look at that. These ones I'll bring in a little closer to you. This is my hand. Look how much longer than my hand it is. All of these stalks of chives are longer than both of my hands combined. These are coming up to probably 40 to 50 centimeters, about 1.5 feet long. That's really expensive in the store year-round, $1 or more for a clump of them. I've got clumps and clumps and clumps of them, and we can propagate them, grow them, share them, and there's so much you can do. If you've got onion chives like this, you'll see the stalks are hollow, and we're gonna just come in, bring the camera a little closer and look at them and see what goes on in the life of chives. Now, chives are a perennial herb, and they're designed to just keep on growing and keep on growing. So here in the frame, you can see a flowering chives, and you can see a chives that's just about to flower as well. Absolutely beautiful, and every part of this gorgeous little flower is edible. Now, the part I want you to realize is that also elsewhere on the same plant, a little bit out of view, so I'm gonna clip them, are flowers that have expired. And look at this flower here. It's quite beautiful still, but it's not purple any longer. What I want you to see is that inside of it is mature seeds. Do you see those seeds? Mature onion or chive seeds. And so all through my garden, I've got these purple flowers that have turned to white and died, and inside are these mature black seeds. So this is the chives plant wanting to have more chives plants. It's a girl, it's pregnant, and she's gonna have a lot of babies. So it's totally sensible to take one of these beautiful flowers once they've finished flowering, and they've got these mature seeds that I've just shown you that are in here in the mature flower, and take them and plant the seeds. And if you put them under just 1 centimeter or 1/2 inch of soil, they will easily, in moist soil in spring or in fall, sprout. But that's actually the hard way to get chives, even though it's not hard at all. There's an easier way. So I want to show you this clump of chives, and I've clipped off a few here during our video today. But at the bottom, it's got all these little parts and pieces that have roots. Do you see that? All those little parts and pieces that have roots. So all we're gonna do now is take a little hand shovel and say, well, we're gonna divide you up so that you can have more clumps of chives. And I have found that if you've got moist soil that you're moving into, you can kind of do this any time of the season, because chives likes moist soil that's drained, and it likes to be in lots of sun. Now look at what I've done here. I, by the way, as you probably know if you followed my videos, have cardboard and coffee sacks around everything to keep in moisture and keep out the weeds. So here we've got a gorgeous clump. Now let's just take a second and look at that before we do more. Okay, so here's the clump of chives that I just dug up. You can see lots of roots. If you dig down and break into them, you'll see tiny little roots on the bottom of each stalk. So this is a clump. There's at least 20 or 30 stalks inside here. And at the same garden bed, just at the other end of the row where I dug it up, between some chard and some tatsoi and under the shade of a sunflower, I've just dug a little hole right along my drip irrigation line. And I'm gonna purposely submerge these roots deeper than they were before so that they have lots of moisture opportunity. That's still not deep enough, so I'm gonna dig a little deeper with my shovel. So with that same hand shovel that I cut off a clump, I dig a hole for that clump to find a new home. And now we'll just pack in that moist soil around it and make sure that it's got no competition from weeds. And now we've got another brand new chives plant there to go. So from the big clump I started from, I could grow 10 or 15 big clumps like this, and they're all gonna take off and provide me incredible abundance of chives. So you might have noticed that everything that I need in terms of tools or equipment to work with chives is a hand shovel to break them up or transplant them, and a scissor to harvest them, which really isn't needed because you can just snip it with your hand and grab it like that, because chives are so easy to work with. So they're super hardy, they're super easy to grow, you can plant them from seed, you can also much easier just transplant them from a clump that you take off of the mother. The other beautiful thing about chives is how adaptive they are to growing conditions. As long as you're giving them an abundance of sun and regular moisture with drainage, they will take off and flourish anywhere. This works perfectly for someone who has just a little patio or a little balcony. You can put them in a pot, even just 5 or 6 inches, like 15 centimeters across and the same depth, and they'll do great in a pot. They do great in rows in a garden. They do great in clumps in a garden. When they're dominant, like this big clump here, there's no weeds growing in around them. They're looking after things. The other thing I've found in my experience growing chives, no pests. They're incredibly vigorous and resistant to disease or to pests. In fact, many gardeners plant them as borders around their garden with things like marigolds, and they do a great job of repelling the bad guys that might eat other things that you're wanting to grow for your kitchen production. So wonderful to grow them in borders, to grow them in pots, to grow them in clumps, and they're generally keeping away insects that you're not super fond of in your garden. What an incredible opportunity. If you've enjoyed this video, I encourage you to take a look at my How to Grow Incredible Cukes video as well. That might give you some great more ideas for success in the garden. Hey guys, thanks a lot for watching. If you are not yet a subscriber, cruise down there in your bottom right and subscribe to tips that are hopeful, helpful, and healthy from Sustainable Stace. Thanks for watching.